Have you ever wondered why millions of people spend their entire lives working hard and still struggle financially, while others seem to build wealth generation after generation? At first glance, the answer appears simple. Many people believe that success is the direct result of intelligence, talent, hard work, or luck. If someone is wealthy, we assume they must have done something right. If someone is poor, we often assume they must have done something wrong. But after decades of research by economists, psychologists, and financial experts, a different picture has emerged. The truth is that poverty is rarely caused by a single mistake. More often, it is the result of a series of habits, beliefs, decisions, and systems that quietly work together over many years. Most people never realize what these forces are, and because they never recognize them, they never escape them. Today, we are going to explore some of the most important reasons why so many people remain financially trapped throughout their lives. More importantly, we're going to explore what can be done about it, because understanding the problem is the first step towards solving it. The first reason most people stay poor is surprisingly simple. They never learn how money actually works. Think about your own education. You probably spent thousands of hours studying mathematics, history, science, literature, and countless other subjects. Yet how many hours did you spend learning about investing? How many hours were dedicated to understanding taxes? How much time did you spend studying compound interest, inflation, asset allocation, or wealth creation? For most people, the answer is almost none. This creates a dangerous situation. Millions of people enter adulthood equipped to earn money, but completely unprepared to manage it. Imagine trying to play a game without understanding its rules. No matter how hard you try, your chances of success are dramatically reduced. This is exactly what happens financially. Many people spend decades working hard without understanding the basic principles that govern money. As a result, they make mistakes that cost them years of progress. They accumulate unnecessary debt. They fail to invest. They underestimate inflation. They overestimate the value of consumption. And most importantly, they never allow their money to work for them. Financial literacy does not guarantee wealth. However, financial literacy almost guarantees costly mistakes. That is why some of the most successful investors in history have emphasized financial education above almost everything else. They understand that money follows rules, and those who understand the rules gain a significant advantage. The second reason most people stay poor is because they confuse income with wealth. At first, these concepts appear identical, but they are not. Income is what you earn. Wealth is what you keep. This distinction changes everything. Imagine two individuals. Both earn exactly $100,000 per year. From the outside, they appear equally successful, but their financial futures may be completely different. The first individual spends nearly everything. A luxury car, a larger home, frequent vacations, expensive clothing, high monthly payments. The second individual lives below their means. They save, they invest, they acquire assets. 5 years later, the difference becomes noticeable. 10 years later, the difference becomes dramatic. 20 years later, they're living completely different lives. One still depends on every paycheck. The other has built financial independence. The reason is not income. The reason is behavior. This is one of the greatest misconceptions in personal finance. Many people spend their entire lives trying to increase their income without ever learning how to build wealth. But income alone rarely creates freedom. Wealth creates freedom. Wealth creates options. Wealth creates security. And wealth is built through ownership, not consumption. The wealthy understand this. They focus on acquiring assets. Assets are things that generate value. Businesses, stocks, real estate, intellectual property, investments. These assets continue working long after the initial effort has been completed. While employees exchange time for money, assets continue producing value around the clock. This is one reason wealth often accelerates over time. Money begins generating more money, and eventually, financial growth becomes less dependent on labor and more dependent on ownership. Another major reason people remain poor is something economists call lifestyle inflation. Lifestyle inflation is one of the most common financial traps in modern society. It occurs when spending rises every time income rises. Imagine receiving a raise at work. At first, it feels exciting. You finally have more money. You can upgrade your lifestyle. Perhaps you buy a better car. Maybe you move into a larger apartment. You start eating at more expensive restaurants. You purchase newer technology. You travel more frequently. None of these things are necessarily bad. The problem appears when every increase in income is immediately matched by an increase in spending. Over time, something surprising happens. Your income continues rising, but your financial position barely changes. You are earning more than ever before, yet you still feel financially constrained. This is because your expenses have expanded alongside your income. Many people unknowingly spend decades trapped in this cycle. Every raise disappears. Every bonus disappears. Every opportunity for wealth creation is consumed by lifestyle upgrades. From the outside, they appear successful. They have expensive possessions, luxury products, impressive homes. But behind the scenes, many have very little wealth. True wealth is often invisible. It exists in investment accounts, business ownership, stocks, assets. The wealthy frequently understand something that most people do not. A dollar invested today has the potential to become many dollars tomorrow. A dollar spent today usually disappears forever. This is why many self-made millionaires live surprisingly modest lives during the wealth-building phase. They prioritize ownership over appearance. They focus on building assets rather than impressing strangers. And over time, that discipline produces extraordinary results. The problem becomes even more serious when lifestyle inflation combines with another powerful force, debt. And that is exactly where most financial struggles begin, with debt. Debt is one of the most powerful forces in modern economics, yet very few people truly understand how it affects their lives. Debt itself is not necessarily bad. Businesses use debt to expand operations. Governments use debt to finance infrastructure. Investors sometimes use debt to acquire productive assets. The problem is not debt itself. The problem is consumer debt. Consumer debt allows people to spend tomorrow's income today. At first, this feels like freedom. A new car, a new phone, a vacation, luxury furniture, designer clothing, all available immediately. The future seems far away. The monthly payment appears manageable. But over time, something begins to happen. Each payment reduces future financial flexibility. Each loan requires future income. Each credit card balance accumulates interest. Eventually, many people discover that they are no longer working to build wealth. They are working to repay decisions made years ago. This creates a financial prison that millions of people never fully escape. The average person experiences interest as an expense. The wealthy often experience interest as income. That difference alone can completely change a person's financial future. Imagine two people. One pays 20% interest on credit card debt. The other earns long-term returns through investments. One is moving backward. The other is moving forward. Year after year, decade after decade, the gap becomes enormous. This is why many financial experts argue that eliminating high-interest debt is often one of the most important financial decisions a person can make. Not because debt is evil, but because debt can silently consume the wealth that would otherwise have been created. Another major reason people stay poor is something psychologists call the scarcity mindset. This concept has been studied extensively by economists and behavioral scientists. When people constantly worry about money, their attention becomes focused on immediate survival. Rent, food, bills, debt payments, unexpected emergencies. The brain naturally prioritizes urgent problems. This makes perfect sense from an evolutionary perspective. If a threat exists today, solving it becomes more important than planning for next year. The problem is that wealth is usually built through long-term thinking. Investing requires patience. Building a business requires patience. Developing valuable skills requires patience. Creating wealth often requires years of consistent effort before meaningful results appear. Scarcity makes this difficult. When someone is constantly under financial pressure, long-term planning becomes harder. Immediate needs dominate attention. As a result, many people become trapped in a cycle where short-term decisions create long-term consequences. The tragedy is that this cycle often has nothing to do with intelligence. Many highly intelligent individuals struggle financially, not because they lack ability, but because constant financial stress makes optimal decision-making more difficult. This is one reason why poverty can become self-reinforcing. The fewer resources someone has, the harder it often becomes to accumulate more resources. This phenomenon is sometimes called a poverty trap. A poverty trap occurs when a person's current financial situation makes it extremely difficult to improve their future financial situation. Imagine two individuals. The first person has savings. The second person has no savings. A financial emergency occurs. The first person pays for the emergency using cash reserves. The second person uses a high-interest credit card. The emergency ends. But now the second person faces months or years of additional interest payments. One event, two completely different outcomes. This process repeats itself throughout life. Opportunities often require resources. Education requires resources. Business creation requires resources. Investments require resources. Those who already possess assets often find it easier to acquire additional assets. Those without assets frequently face greater obstacles. Understanding this reality is important because it shifts the conversation away from blame and toward strategy. The goal is not to complain about unfairness. The goal is to recognize the obstacles and learn how to overcome them. Another reason many people remain poor is that they spend their entire lives selling time instead of building assets. Most people are taught a simple formula. Go to school, get a job, work hard, earn a paycheck. There is nothing wrong with employment. Jobs provide income. Jobs create stability. Jobs can be valuable, but there is a limitation. Time is finite. Every person receives the same 24 hours each day. This creates a natural ceiling on income. No matter how hard someone works, there are only so many hours available. Assets operate differently. Assets continue producing value after the initial effort has been completed. A rental property can generate income for years. A successful business can continue generating revenue. Stocks can produce dividends and appreciate in value. Intellectual property can generate royalties. Digital products can be sold repeatedly. The wealthy often focus on acquiring assets because assets separate income from time. This is one of the most important concepts in wealth creation. If your financial future depends entirely on your labor, growth will always be limited. When assets begin generating income, growth can accelerate dramatically. This is why many financially successful individuals spend years acquiring productive assets. They understand that ownership creates leverage, and leverage multiplies results. Perhaps one of the greatest financial mistakes people make is believing that hard work alone guarantees success. Hard work matters. Discipline matters. Persistence matters. But hard work without direction can produce disappointing results. Imagine digging a hole. You can work extremely hard. You can sweat. You can exhaust yourself. But if you're digging in the wrong location, your effort produces little value. Money works the same way. The marketplace rewards value creation. It rewards problem solving. It rewards innovation. It rewards efficiency. Some people work harder than anyone around them and still struggle financially. Others create systems, businesses, or assets that continue producing value long after the initial work has ended. The difference is not effort alone. The difference is leverage. The wealthy often focus on building systems. Most people focus exclusively on effort. Both are important, but one scales far more effectively than the other. Another reason people remain poor is that they underestimate the importance of skills. In today's economy, skills are assets. Communication, sales, leadership, technology, engineering, marketing, negotiation, financial literacy. These skills increase earning potential and create opportunities. Unfortunately, many people stop learning after formal education ends. The most successful individuals often do the opposite. They become lifelong learners. They read, they study, They adapt. They continuously invest in themselves. This creates a powerful advantage. Markets change. Industries change. Technology changes. Those who continue learning remain valuable. Those who stop learning often fall behind. The modern economy rewards adaptability, and adaptability begins with education. Not necessarily formal education, but continuous education. The ability to learn may be one of the most valuable financial skills in the world. As we move forward, we begin to see a pattern. Poverty is rarely caused by a single factor. It is usually the result of multiple forces working together. Debt, scarcity, lack of assets, short-term thinking, limited financial education, insufficient skill development. These forces gradually compound over time. But there is good news. The opposite is also true. Knowledge compounds, skills compound, investments compound, assets compound, good decisions compound. And that is exactly what we will explore next. Because the same force that keeps many people poor is also the force that has created some of the greatest fortunes in history. Compound growth. In understanding it may completely change the way you think about money forever. The greatest force in wealth creation is not intelligence. It is not talent. It is not even hard work. The greatest force in wealth creation is time. And most people dramatically underestimate its power. Human beings naturally focus on immediate results. We want progress now. We want rewards now. We want success now. Unfortunately, wealth rarely works that way. Most financial success stories appear sudden from the outside. But when you look closely, you discover something different. Years of preparation, years of discipline, years of consistency, years of patience. The world notices the outcome. It rarely notices the process. This is where compound growth enters the picture. Compound growth is one of the most powerful forces in economics. It occurs when returns begin generating additional returns. At first, the results seem insignificant, almost disappointing. Imagine investing $100, then earning $10. That does not seem life-changing. But now your future returns are generated from $110, then $121, then $133, then $146. The process continues, slowly at first, then faster, then dramatically faster. The reason so many people fail to benefit from compound growth is simple. They quit too early. Human beings tend to think linearly. We expect results to arrive in a straight line. But compound growth is not linear. It is exponential. For a long time, very little appears to happen. Then suddenly, everything appears to happen at once. This is true in investing. It is true in business. It is true in skill development. And it is true in wealth creation. Many people abandon the process during the most important stage, the beginning, because the beginning feels slow. The beginning feels invisible. The beginning feels unrewarding. But every great fortune started during that invisible stage. Every single one. One of the greatest examples is investor Warren Buffett. Most people know him as one of the richest investors in history. What many people do not realize is that the vast majority of his wealth was accumulated after the age of 50. Not because he suddenly became smarter, not because he suddenly discovered a secret, but because compound growth had been working for decades. Year after year, decade after decade. The lesson is profound. The longer a positive process continues, the more powerful it becomes. The same principle applies to negative habits. Debt compounds. Bad decisions compound. Poor financial habits compound. Everything compounds. The question is simple. Which direction are your habits moving? Toward wealth or away from it? Another reason most people stay poor is that they constantly underestimate the value of delayed gratification. Modern society encourages immediate consumption. Buy now, pay later, upgrade now, enjoy now, worry later. Advertising exists for a reason. Companies understand human psychology. They understand that emotions often influence purchasing decisions more than logic. The result is a culture that rewards consumption. Yet wealth is often built through the opposite behavior. The willingness to delay gratification. the willingness to sacrifice something today for something greater tomorrow. This principle has appeared repeatedly in economic research and behavioral studies. Individuals capable of making long-term decisions often achieve superior outcomes across multiple areas of life. Financial success is no exception. Every dollar spent represents a choice between present consumption and future opportunity. This does not mean life should never be enjoyed. It means decisions should be intentional. The wealthy are not necessarily happier because they spend more. Many become wealthy because they spend less than they could. They understand the difference between looking rich and being rich. Looking rich requires spending. Being rich requires ownership. And ownership changes everything. Ownership means participating in value creation. Ownership means benefiting from growth. Ownership means building something larger than yourself. Most people spend their lives buying products. The wealthy spend their lives acquiring ownership in the companies that produce those products. That difference may sound small, but over a lifetime, it becomes enormous. Another critical reason people remain poor is that they focus on income while ignoring leverage. Leverage is the ability to multiply results. Without leverage, every dollar earned requires direct effort. With leverage, effort can produce results repeatedly. Technology is leverage. Businesses are leverage. Investments are leverage. Teams are leverage. Systems are leverage. The most successful individuals in history understood this concept deeply. They did not simply work harder. They built systems capable of producing value at scale. Consider the difference between selling your time and owning a business. One person earns income only while actively working. The other creates a system capable of generating revenue continuously. This is why ownership has historically been one of the most powerful paths toward wealth. Not because owners are necessarily smarter, but because ownership creates leverage, and leverage multiplies outcomes. As technology continues to evolve, leverage becomes even more important. The internet allows individuals to reach millions of people. Digital products can be sold repeatedly. Knowledge can be distributed globally. Opportunities that once required massive resources can now be pursued with relatively little capital. Yet many people never take advantage of these opportunities. Why? Because they remain trapped in short-term thinking. They focus on immediate comfort rather than long-term growth. They consume more than they create. They react rather than plan. And over time, these small decisions produce enormous consequences. One of the most important truths about wealth creation is that success rarely depends on a single decision. Instead, it depends on thousands of decisions repeated consistently. A small amount invested every month. A book read every week. A skill improved every day. A bad habit avoided repeatedly. These actions seem insignificant individually, but together they shape entire lives. Most people search for a breakthrough. The wealthy often focus on consistency. That is why financial success frequently appears boring. It is not built through constant excitement. It is built through discipline. The willingness to continue when nobody is watching. The willingness to remain patient when results are not yet visible. The willingness to trust a process that may take years to fully unfold. And this brings us to perhaps the most important lesson of all. Most people stay poor because they believe wealth is something that happens. In reality, wealth is something that is built through knowledge, built through discipline, built through ownership, built through patience, built through time. The path is not easy. It never has been, but it is available to far more people than most realize. You do not need to be born wealthy. You do not need perfect timing. You do not need extraordinary luck. What you need is understanding. You need the willingness to learn principles that most people ignore. You need the courage to think differently from the crowd. You need the discipline to make decisions that benefit your future self. And you need patience, lots of patience, because wealth is rarely built in months. It is often built in years, sometimes decades, but the rewards can be extraordinary. Financial freedom is not merely about money. It is about options. It is about control over your time. It is about reducing stress. It is about creating opportunities for yourself and those you care about. The people who achieve it are not necessarily the smartest. They are not necessarily the luckiest. More often, they are the people who consistently apply timeless principles while others chase shortcuts. They understand that money follows rules. They understand that assets create wealth. They understand that compound growth rewards patience. They understand that ownership creates leverage. And they understand that small decisions, repeated over long periods of time, can completely transform a person's future. The tragedy is that most people will never learn these lessons. The opportunity is that you can, because every financial transformation begins with awareness. Every fortune begins with a decision, and every decision begins with knowledge. The question is no longer why most people stay poor. The real question is whether you will continue following the same path as the majority, or whether you will begin building a different future starting